Hi, my name is Siobhan. I'm a third year student of Breda University of Applied Sciences, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my studies called Creative Media and Game Technologies. Basically, to give you a very short idea of what the studies is all about, it's basically you're gonna learn about making video games for AAA companies. So it's not really based on indie games, but very much AAA companies. So you can really be the best game developer that you can possibly be. So basically, are you gonna make this video game? That's really what it's all about. It's teaching you how to make video games. So just like in the game industry, we work with 3 disciplines. Usually in the video game company, you have artists, programmers, and designers, and that's exactly how our studies handles it as well. So for example, first you have programming. So programmers are responsible for coding, for the codes behind the game. They are very into mathematics. They have to learn about C++ because we work a lot within Unreal Engine, so C++ is very important. And they kind of focus on hardware and technology, so basically consoles and all that kind of stuff. Now, what can you become? You can become a gameplay programmer, a graphics programmer, or a game engine programmer. It's really up to you. Then you have the 3D visual artists. That's what I am. They are responsible for pretty much everything that you see in a video game. So we do a lot with drawing. We're very art heavy. So this would be great for somebody that might be super interested in art in general, but would like to do it for video games. Well, we also have, for example, our technical artists. So we do have some people that kind of combine the programming with art, which we kind of see that back in like procedural art, for example. So it can really be combined, which is really awesome. Visual artists are basically responsible for example, the characters, for the environment. And what can you become? You can become a character artist, concept artist, animator, VFX artist, pretty much anything that you can see in a video game. That is the responsibility of an artist. So pretty much anything you want to be within art, that's possible. Then finally, we have design and production. I always find it very hard to explain what a designer and a producer really do. A designer is basically responsible for creating a cool game concept. So is it going to be a platformer? Is it going to be a shooter? What's the camera going to look like? What are the game objectives? All that kind of stuff. And as you can see, production is also within this discipline, but a producer is basically, how do I explain this? So within a video game team, you probably have like up to maybe sometimes 100 members within a team. A producer is basically the manager of the team, so he or she is responsible for making sure that the budget is used correctly, deadlines are met, all that kind of stuff. So here you can also see what can you become. You can become a level designer, technical designer, UI designer, and of course you can become a producer. This is the year overview because we are a four-year study. And in the first year, you're basically gonna learn some of the fundamentals. We don't expect you to already know how to make a AAA game. That's not the case. That's something you're gonna learn in first year. So for example, for me as a visual artist, I never really touched a 3D program before I started year 1. So in year 1, I basically got taught how to use 3D programs, how to use Houdini, so that's more of the technical program of the art side. And then in year 2, you're gonna do some more role-based learning. So what I showed before, under the part of like what can you become, you see very specific roles within the discipline. And the role-based learning is basically for you to discover what you really like within your discipline. So you can really specialize in a certain part of your discipline. We also have project-based learning. So in the first year, you're basically gonna do a lot of personal projects just to, understand the fundamentals and basically learn it yourself. And from year 2, you're gonna do more projects with a team, so actually make video games. In year 1, you're also gonna make a video game, but from year 2, it's gonna be heavier, if you know what I mean. Then in year 3, that's where I am right now, you're gonna do a year-long project. So for example, in the game industry, you have a lot of video games that are worked on for a year, maybe 2, maybe 5, sometimes even 10 years. So you kind of get a glimpse of how it is in the industry. You have to work in the same team for a year long. So it's going to be It's gonna have some ups and downs, but it's nice to already have some experience with that whole thing, because it's gonna be tough in the industry, and we kind of want to prepare you in the best way possible. Then in the intern or in year 4, you basically get to decide what you want to do yourself. So you got 2 semesters in year 4, and you can fill it with whatever you want to do. Maybe you want to do an internship for half a year and a personal project for the other half a year. Maybe you want to do a year-long internship. Maybe you want to start your own company, because that's also possible. And school offers ways to help you with that. But the main part is basically that you graduate. We don't have to do a thesis. Also, one thing that you can do in year 4 is a exchange. So you can go to a different school and study there for a bit. One thing, like I said before, we don't have to write a thesis. But another thing that I really like about our studies is that we have a complete project-based learning system. This means that we don't have any books that we have to read. We don't have any mandatory lectures that we have to attend. We don't have any tests or exams, which is really great, because I was terrible at learning through books, but we learn through actually making projects. So I showed you that we have 4 years, and each year you have 4 projects, basically. We call them blocks. So the blocks consist of 8 weeks. So in week 1, you get a project, you work on it for 8 weeks straight, and what you hand in week 8, that's basically what you're gonna get graded on. And apart from that, basically how our week looks is also something I'm really happy with. We have 2 mandatory lab days, is what we call them. That's basically where you get the opportunity to work on your project in a classroom, which we call a lab. We have 2 days where you can, for example, work at home. You can still go to school, but now with the COVID situation, we don't recommend coming to school. And we have a lecture and workshop day. So this is a day where you can attend workshops. They aren't mandatory, by the way. You can go there if you want to, but it will help your grade and also really help you specialize in what you want to specialize in. We also have lectures. Sometimes people from the industry, they come to our school to give us a lecture about a project they worked on, for example. So once we had PUBG come over, we had Guerrilla. They gave us a little bit information about Horizon Zero Dawn, which was really awesome. So yeah, we do have some people from the industry coming to our school regularly. These are some examples of like third year games that were published, because that's also one of the things in your 3rd year. You're gonna have to publish a video game. These are all free to play on Steam, by the way. Then we have a 4th discipline, but it's kind of separate from our study or what we do, because we really work together, all 3 disciplines, to work on a video game. But we also have artificial intelligence and data management. That is basically a study for people that are really interested in programming and artificial intelligence and data management and statistics and all that kind of stuff. But it isn't really focused around video games. Of course, you can become somebody that works in video games with this course, but it's basically more broad than just video games. So if you're really into AI and maybe, for example, deep learning, or you want to do interface design, for example, Netflix or whatever, this could also be really fun for you. Why choose this study? We are a very small scale study. We don't have a lot of students. Only 185 students get admitted each year, but we are very intensive and we have a lot of personal contact with our teachers. And the teachers, they have years of experience within the actual industry. This can be the game industry, but we also have somebody from Disney that worked at Disney as an animator. So he really knows what he's doing. We have a game studio setup where you make and launch games. So basically the whole idea of a study is that you make video games and you get to learn how to actually, launch a video game. We don't have to read about it, we actually do it, and that's the best way to learn about it. And we have partnerships with Sony, Epic Games, and Side Effects. So we have a lot of cool, awesome stuff. This is the registration procedure, so maybe I convince you that this might be the perfect study for you. Please come and visit us. Right now, because of COVID, we don't really have a lot of open days anymore, but we do have some online open days. We call them webinars. You can visit them. You can maybe trial study, but it isn't really sure how to do that right now with the whole COVID situation. But trial study is basically that you will either with me or with a colleague walk with us or basically study with us through an entire day, see what it's like to actually study here, to get a nice idea of what the study is like, basically. To sign up, you have to sign up via StudyLink, and you have to do an intake assignment, because our study is very popular, so to say, which is really great. But as I said, only 185 people get admitted each year. So the teachers do really want to see that you are very passionate about actually making video games, for example. So for each discipline, you have to do a different intake assignment. Don't let it scare you off, because the intake assignments, if you're really interested in this study, it's gonna be a breeze. Honestly, for me, I really knew that I wanted to do this for a long time, and it was nothing. So don't get discouraged. So yeah, this was basically everything about my study. Hopefully I gave you some information. If not, feel free to send an email to somebody via Ask a Student. I am also responsible for Ask a Student, so if you have more questions, let me know. And hopefully you get some information about all the cool studies being presented today. So have a nice day, and thank you so much for listening.